Okay. So before we get in the text, like I was saying, I want to go over a few of your reading assignments, which were for the most part good. In general, don't try to sound good in those reading assignments. The more innocent and naive you sound, the better. It means you're really authentically struggling with the text. Don't try to sound too sophisticated and learned. You want to be really your natural self when you're reading these texts, right? You want to just be really innocent, naive. I don't understand this, I don't understand that, and right, don't try to be too technical, too philosophical. Right? But okay, so here are a few of your comments. Everybody can hear the ice cream truck outside? Yes? Say yes, because I can't see you.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not the only one then. Okay, great. Good. All right, first thing that I saw was a funny quote, which I could even put it on the test. This was Cosmides: "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." What would Kant say about that? So this is interesting, right? Because for Kant, it's good intentions is all that matters. The result shouldn't be taken into consideration when we make a moral choice, right? We'll talk about that, right? For him, we do it because it's moral, not because of any particular outcome. So even if the outcome is bad, we are still responsible for performing the moral action, right? And we're going to see how bad it can get towards the second week or so, second lecture, right? But definitely Kant would say that it's okay if it's the road to hell. At least you're on the moral high ground going to this road to hell, right? So he admits, right, that good intentions don't necessarily mean happiness, right? And we'll see more of that. I think Delmas mentioned, yes, if we all share the same reason, why is it that everybody thinks different? So this is a good question, right? In the sense that for Kant, morally speaking, we all agree. But when it comes to custom, we disagree. So for him, there's two sides, remember, there's the moral and there's the happiness, right? The reason and the instinct. When it comes to reason, all of us will agree this is wrong, right? If you're walking down the street and you see a corpse or somebody just been killed, no matter what your culture, no matter what your gender, no matter what your sexual orientation, you're going to react with horror. You'll be like, this is not right, right? So on the level of morality, we all think the same for Kant, but on the level of what it means to be happy, definitions of happiness, which is what culture, custom, right, tradition is dealing with, then yes, we differ. Does that make sense, Delmas? Let me see if
yes, I'm listening very attentively.
Okay. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we'll be studying that aspect next time, right? We'll be talking about in the next class morality and prudence. Prudence having to do with custom, right? So I wanted to already point this out. Another one of you was talking about duty. And we'll see that duty is not something you can either impose on someone, and it's not something that can be imposed on you. This is not duty in the military sense where you have a hierarchy imposing on you what you should do. Duty is duty to your higher self. We're going to talk about that today, right? Duty is duty to yourself. It's duty to your higher self. I forgot who asked this question, but probably I should have put down the name so I can ask them now if they're seeing what
It was me. I had questions as well.
Okay, so right, duty is always duty to your highest self, to what your own reason prescribes, right? And we'll talk about that today, actually. And finally, Kant and utilitarianism. This is one of you talking about, well, what if the moral choice means, you end up killing a bunch of people? For Kant, it's still wrong, right? To kill that one person versus the thousands of people you could have saved, right? It's still, no matter what the outcome is, it doesn't change the moral quality of your action. Even the outcome is good, doesn't change. Outcome is bad, it doesn't change. It was still, you still did the right thing. So we'll debate this. We'll get to that. Okay, so any other question before we get in the text? Anybody have like an urgent thing they want to like get off their chest? Okay, all right, so let's get into the text. I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to put it in the chat, the outlines. So first of all, I'm going to talk about instinct and happiness. And then second of all, I'll talk about the first categorical imperative. then next time we'll do the second categorical imperative, right? So today we just do these two. Okay, so let me summarize briefly before we get in the actual text, what Kant is doing in the book in general, right? Remember, Kant is interested. He's not going to, Kant is not, his goal is not to tell us what to do, right? He's not like someone like, you know, the medievals like Maimonides or Aquinas, you know, who have big treatises on what's right, what's wrong, and they're telling us how we should think and how we should live, right? He's not like that. Because for Kant, remember, morality is in it. We all have it, right? We all have reason. We all have the voice of conscience. And so, right, God forbid, right, that Kant goes around telling you what to do. But so why is he writing this book, right? So the reason he's writing this book is really in order to help us become clearer as to which voice is which. The main problem in our lives is not that we don't have reason or instinct, is that they get merged. And sometimes instinct masquerades as reason, and we can't tell. And that's why often we're faced with a moral dilemma, like the one I mentioned last time, right? You meet the love of your life, but you're married with 5 kids, right? What should you do? And you can get confused because the voices start to, right? Instinct starts to masquerade as reason. And you find yourself having a hard time distinguishing what should I do. It's not even that you purposefully going to do the wrong thing. You honestly don't know what is the right thing to do, right? Should I stay with my wife? Of course, that sounds like something I should do, but also this woman loves me and I should care for her and this is the love of my life. Shouldn't I go there? And now you're cut, right? So we are often, right, in these moral dilemmas, right? Or should I lie to protect someone, right? How do I feel like I should, but they're going to feel I shouldn't, right? So Kant is writing this book simply to help us be clear onto which voice is which. And then, of course, it's up to us to decide whether we want to follow instinct or reason, right? But at least we'll be clear which one is which, and that's the goal of this book. And today we're going to find out what the voice of instinct sounds like. And next time we'll start to discover what the voice of reason sounds like. So that's all he's doing, right? He's helping us become more attuned, more sensitive to the voice of reason and be able to identify it better, to hear it better. And that way he believes we can make more informed decisions, which we have to make with regards to our own, right, reason. Okay. So let's go. So today we'll first learn what the voice of reason is not. We're going to talk about the voice of instinct first, and then we'll start going into the voice of reason with the first categorical imperative. Okay, so please go to page 8. Okay, is everyone on page 8? Let me see your hands. Put your hand in the screen if you're on page 8. Okay, I'm trusting that you all have your books. Remember that part of the test will be as you answer the test questions, right, which are coming in a few weeks, you need to have supporting quotes, right? So any quote that we're dealing with in class, you want to mark carefully because you're going to need it, right, for your test. That's the first thing. And also making sure you're taking very detailed notes, right? This is just a reminder how you need to be already prepared. Okay, so let me first summarize his argument, right? And then we'll get the quotes because it's a little long-winded. Some of you already noticed how long-winded he is. This is, by the way, mostly because of the German language, which is a language which is long-winded. So it's not that Kant is trying to sound intelligent, it's that he's a German. That's how they talk. Okay, so here's the main argument he's going to make here. He's going to do something very interesting. He's going to prove, based on the way we are constituted as human beings, he's going to prove that we were made for more than happiness, right? For those of us who think, well, why should I care about morality? Why can't I just be happy, right? He's going to actually prove to you that in your constitution, there is the way you're structured points to a higher destiny than simple happiness. Okay, so let me say that again so you can write it down, right? The main purpose of this section is to prove to us that we are made for more than happiness, that we have a moral destiny, not just a destiny to be happy, but also a higher destiny, right? Most philosophers actually just take that for granted. Kant is going to argue for it, right? Plato, for instance, takes it for granted. He's like, yeah, we have a higher calling to be in love with the forms, right? He just tells you this, right? He doesn't argue for it. And all philosophers follow suit, right? Kant is the first one who's actually attempting a demonstration as to why it is the case, indeed, that we have a higher calling. And for this, he bases himself on the way we are made as human beings. And so he observes this. He observes that so follow the argument, right? And make sure you get it. If we were made for just happiness, he says, then we should have been made only with instinct. Because instinct will do the job very nicely, right? Instinct knows everything you need to be happy, right? So if we were made for happiness, we would have just been made with instinct. But he says, we have this faculty called reason, this voice, constantly going against our instinct. And therefore, the fact that we have this voice is telling us that we have another purpose. In addition to be happy, we also have another purpose, which this voice is in a way pointing us to, right? So he's simply saying, right, he starts with the argument that every organ of the body has a use, a purpose. And so if we have this particular organ, that means there is a purpose for it. We are given reason, not just instinct. Therefore, he says, we are not only made for happiness. Because if we were just made for happiness, it would have been enough to have instinct. And it's a terrible idea to have put reason, because reason consistently goes against instinct. So clearly, based on the way we're made, we are made for more. Does everyone understand the argument as I said it right now? Put your hand in the screen. Okay. All right. So now let's go into the quotes. Basically, go into what the way he says this. Okay. So I'm on page 8. 1, 2, third paragraph, in the beginning of the third paragraph, where it says, in the natural constitution. Are you there? Put your hand in the screen if you're there. Okay, great. All right. In the natural constitution of an organized being, i.e., one suitably adapted to the purpose of life, let us take as a principle that in such a being, no organ is to be found for any end unless it be the most fit and the best adapted to that end. So he's saying any organism, we will take as a given that every organ in the organism has a purpose. Please don't bring in the appendix, the appendicitis. What do you call this thing? This organ? No one knows what it is. Help me.
Appendix.
Appendix. Okay, please nobody bring up the appendix. I don't want to hear about it right now.
It's useful though. It's actually used for something.
They found? Okay, very good. Finally. Okay, right. So every organ has a use. So he says this, right? Let us take as a given. So he does start with, this premise that every organ has a purpose. Then he says this. Now, if that being's preservation, welfare, or in a word, its happiness, were the real end of nature, in the case of a being having reason and will, then nature would have hit upon a very poor arrangement in having the reason of the creature carry out this purpose. In other words, if our goal, if our purpose was happiness, and here we are, made with reason, then nature is doing a super poor job, right? And mostly because reason is always going against our happiness, right? I'll give you an example of this in a second, right? So he continues and says, for all the actions which such a creature has to perform with this purpose in view, and the whole rule of his conduct would have been prescribed much more easily or exactly by instinct, right? It would have been enough to make us with instinct. The fact that we're made with reason shows that we have a higher calling than just happiness. Okay, so that's the main quote for that. You can go for the same idea, the next page. Go to the second paragraph on page 9. Everybody's there. Reason, however, put your hand in the screen if you're there. Okay. Reason, however, is not competent enough to guide the will safely as regards its objects and the satisfaction of all our needs. I mean, reason sucks, in other words, he's saying, at figuring out what will make us happy, right? And to this end, an implanted natural instinct would have led us much more certainly, right? And so he continues, its true function, the function of reason, must be to produce a will which is not merely good as a means to some further end, which is happiness, right? But the good in itself, right? So same idea, right? So I'll give you an example right now so you can really see what he's talking about, right? So suppose, I always pick the wrong example when I say this. Okay, so suppose you have a big test on the next day, right? And you need to do good, you need to study. And all of a sudden, okay, wait. No, that doesn't work. Okay, I know. Suppose you have a girlfriend, right? Or a boyfriend, and they bought something to wear that looks dreary on them. They look so ugly, right? But they paid a lot of money and they think they're super cute in it, right? And so they ask you, babe, what do you think? Do you like it? Right? And now you're like, okay, should I lie? Or should I tell the truth, right? Now, if you tell the truth, you're about to go on a hot date with that person and you're like, babe, you look horrible in that. What's going to happen to your hot date?
You're not going to have one.
No, exactly. The hot date will dissolve and you'll have a miserable evening and your partner will be reminded of how, and all their insecurities will come rushing in, that you think they're ugly and now why are you even together? And, that other guy didn't think I was ugly and maybe I should go with them. And this will blow into, So you're tempted to lie, right? And if you were to lie, what would happen to your hot date?
They would leave and never come back.
No. If you lie and you're like, oh, babe, you look gorgeous in that dress.
Oh, then you have your hot date.
Yes, right? You'd be like, it would go well. Everybody would be happy. You'd have a good time, right? So now, as you're having this dilemma, hopefully you are, if you have a good reason and instinct balance, right? Your instinct is saying, so what is your instinct saying you should do?
You should lie. You should definitely lie.
Instinct is thinking immediate happiness, hot date. We're going to lie, right? What does your reason kick in now saying?
To tell the truth.
Exactly. Now, reason is ruining everything. It's not interested clearly in your happiness because you're going to ruin the date and maybe even the relationship. And reason is going to tell you, lying is wrong. You don't want to do that. Why would you want to do that? Is that who you are? Blah, blah, blah. Right? You see the issue? Right? If we were made for happiness, instinct is much better adapted to that quest because instinct knows immediately. Of course, you don't tell them the truth. You want to be happy. Here's how to be happy. Don't tell them the truth. And you see how reason is barging in, right, and destroying any attempt of happiness. Now, there's not always a contradiction, right, between the two. Sometimes happiness connects to morality, right? It goes well, like lying to your girlfriend about where you were last night. Telling the truth will coincide with, well, maybe not, right? But in general, right, telling the truth is a factor of happiness, right? But sometimes it's not. And so now you have a distinction, right? And so simply Kant is saying this. If we were made just for happiness, we don't need reason. If we have reason, means there is a deeper calling here. Okay, Allegra, you have a question. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be better to say like eating like healthier and junk food because your instinct tells you to eat this junk food, but your reason tells you to eat this salad instead because it's healthier for you? Because when you're using like as your example, there's a lot of things. Because my instinct was to like communicate like it doesn't look good. that was my instinct. My reasoning was like, no, I should tell her that she looks all right. It flips for me in that respect. So I was confused.
There's two issues. Your reason can't tell you to lie, right? Your reason is the moral capacity in you. The reason will never tell you to lie, and we'll see why in a second, right? But so if you're hearing, it's actually the voice of your instinct that is saying that, which you think is reason, which is exactly the problem. We get them mixed up, right? Mm-hmm. So actually, if you're lying, if you're pushed to lying, this cannot be reason, and we'll see why later when we study the voice of reason, right? Right now we don't know yet exactly, right?
So do we like relate reason to like some like moral action or to some moral?
Exactly.
Reason okay.
Is only concerned with morality. So the example you gave about eating junk food or salad, this is instinct, right? This is instinct that will tell you, you're not going to be happy if you eat, right? There's maybe lower instinct, higher instinct, right? The higher instinct will say, instinct is interested with short-term and long-term happiness, right? Both, right? So you still have instinct telling you actually to eat salad because this is the higher instinct interested in long-term happiness, but still interested in happiness. Morality is on another level, right? Happiness doesn't come into play at all. Does that make sense, Allegra?
Yeah, it does. Just when you get to like higher and lower instinct, that got me confused, but I understand it.
I mean, it's just Kant doesn't make those distinctions, but it's just instinct is happiness long term or short term happiness, right? So just you can just keep it just with instinct. Okay, good. Any other questions? Are you all clear on this instinct thing? Of course, right now we don't know yet what the voice of reason sounds like, which is why we can get confused like Allegre just now, right? Let me give you an example, which I give in my, I call them my baby classes, the intro classes, right? I give this example in my baby classes. So some of you actually might recognize. This is an example which we won't be able to resolve yet because we don't know yet what the voice of reason sounds like. So here's the example. You have here's the big test example. You have a big test, the final. It's worth 70% of the grade. The professor is an absolute brute. They have no compassion or empathy. They're a robot, right? And so you're studying and you know you have to pass this. Your best friend comes in, the person you've known for 20 years, right? You were born together. And they tell you, my mother or father, somebody very dear to them just died and I just can't study. I can't do it, but I have to pass this test. If I don't pass the test, I will fail this class and I will lose the scholarship, right? As a result, I will be kicked out of college and my whole life will be ruined, okay? Now, there's no possibility of talking to the professor. They're a robot, right? There's nothing you can do on the administration. We know already that they're machines. And so you are torn between allowing your friend to cheat off of you or saying no. Okay, so let me take a poll. How many of you would let your friend cheat off of you? Okay, I'm gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have here the empaths, right? So of course, I'm gonna help you. How many of you would not let your friend cheat off of you? 1, 2. These are the cold-blooded.
I'd help them study. There's a difference, all right?
You can't. They're just.
I know. I know. But
right?
at that point, it's too late. But I recognize that.
So that's what I mean, right? Of course, ideally you help them study, right? But you can't. So Coco, you still not gonna help them cheat?
No, not really, unless I think the class is complete bullshit.
Okay, very good. All right. Now, tell me, what do you think reason is telling you to do and what do you think instinct is telling you to do at that moment? Let's see where you guys stand. What would reason say to do and what would instinct say to do? Go ahead, Larson, and then Allegre, and then Kogan.
Actually, I have a question. Like, how close am I to this friend? Like, I think for me,
super close. They're like you were born with them, you were raised with them. They're like you.
so I know them like really well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think reason, I would like reason that this person I'm really close with. Like instinct, I would be like, okay, I should help them. And the reason would actually let me help them. Like reason would help me. And the reason, if this friend wasn't close, like I just met them in this class, I've never talked to them before, my reason would probably be like, nah.
So your reason would tell you to let them cheat off of you?
If they're really close to me.
Okay, they're really close. Okay, so you're saying reason says that. All right, let's see. Allegre, and then I thought there was Kogan, but Waishi, go ahead.
All right. Reason will actually tell me not to let them cheat off of me. Instinct will tell me to cheat off of me. I know this distinction because this is where we confuse with reasoning and instinct, because using instinct is the basis of happiness. So if by making our friend like help pass is making us happy, that's why I clarify it as helping them cheat is instinct. But reason would say we shouldn't do that because if you help everyone else cheat, then is
okay. So you're all right. So that's very good. Let's see who else put their hand up.
Well, actually, I disagree with that because I think that your instinct has to do more with your own personal gain and your own happiness and protecting yourself. And by allowing someone to cheat off you, that would put you in a difficult position because you could be the one to take all the blame for it if you get caught. Okay. You would get in trouble. So
all right, so
that would have to do more with instinct.
Okay, very good. So for you, reason is telling you to compromise your own happiness, and that sounds like something reason would say, right? Very good. Excellent. I have just one more, Kogan, and then King. Sorry, why is she? You were also there. Really quick, all three of you. Why is she, Kogan, and King? Who is this why is she? I don't have you in my.
Oh,
yeah, there you are. Ah, that's you. Okay.
my camera's off right now because I'm doing like two things at one time on my iPad, so it just turns off automatically. But I had it on earlier.
Okay.
I think for reason and what was it? Intuition? What was that? Instinct, right?
Yes.
So instinctively, I think you would be like, oh, I want to help this friend out. And reason would be like, nah, I don't want to be caught. But if we get caught, then I'm going to be in trouble. I don't want that.
Okay,
But,
so let me stop you really quick and ask the class. Getting caught, is that instinct or reason? What's
I feel
going to
like
happen?
that's reason, because you know you could get caught. It's
But
always
if you get
there.
caught, is it going to be an issue? What are you going to lose when you get caught?
Happiness.
Okay, so then who is talking to you about getting caught?
That's probably instinct, Ren.
Exactly. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, you guys seeing how hard it is to distinguish? Okay, let me get the couple more. There was Kogan and I forgot the other one now. Kogan and King.
Well, I mean that's essentially what I wanted to say. The idea is that you have, I think that from one moral perspective, you say that's my friend, and I'd like to help them. But then within that, you have two. You have the idea of, oh, I don't, and then on the other hand, idea of, oh, I don't options. One, you could say I don't want to help them cheat because I could get in trouble, which is a completely.
So wait, is that instinct or reason telling you to do that?
That I think is instinct.
Okay, so push that away. That's not reason.
But then the reason that you have is this, and I don't want to say like ambiguous, but this concept of, oh, I shouldn't because, that's not allowed, that's against the rules. But I think if you truly love your friend, you wouldn't really pay much attention to the rules if it didn't have any bearing on you.
Okay, now be careful. Is morality about keeping the rules?
No, it's not, but a lot of people think that way. They say, oh, keeping the rules is the right thing to do. It's moral. It is moral for me to not break the rules, which is an issue because that's not always the case.
So very good, right? Let's be very clear on this, right? That for Kant, you only obey your voice of reason. So your duty is not to any type of rules, whether it's, the rules of the state, the rules of the country. If your moral sense goes against that, you have an obligation to yourself to break those rules, right? So Kant in a way is a precursor of civil disobedience. He would be for that, right? So very good. And let's have one, okay. I want to have one more person, but I'm worried I won't be able to finish. So let me just go on to the first categorical imperative. Already you should be seeing that it's not easy to distinguish between the two. And I'm not going to tell you the answer to that dilemma yet until we get to next time when we really do develop what it means, reason, the voice of reason, right? Then we're going to know. But right now you can see already that it can be murky, right? And that's why we need a book like Kant's to help us distinguish. Okay, now, entering more into this notion of the voice of reason, there's two ways Kant is gonna introduce us to what the voice of reason sounds like. And to be honest, I like the second way better. The second way makes more sense. The first way is a bit analytic, but it's interesting nevertheless, so I'm gonna teach it. It's the first categorical imperative, and then we have the second categorical imperative, right? So these are two ways that you can understand how your reason functions or sounds, right? So now we're already starting to get into what does the voice of reason sound like, right? So let me first explain, right? I'll just explain it and then we'll look at a quote and then maybe get a couple examples, right? So you can really get it. Okay, so this is actually quite interesting what Kant is doing in the first categorical imperative, right? He's actually going to follow the course of logic. In other words, there's laws of logic and he's going to apply them to morality. So he's going to give us a kind of scientific way of determining what is right and what is wrong, right? So here it's an actual reasoning that's going on that you can actually do. The second categorical imperative is a little different. It's not a reasoning, it's more of a sense. But here you have kind of a reasoning approach to it. So do you know, so how many of you took logic? Just so you can help me with the terminology. How many of you took logic? Okay, good. So what happens when a proposition is both P and not P? Does that mean it's false or invalid? Which one is it? Coco?
Invalid.
Invalid. Okay, so I'm going to use that word, right? So Kant starts with this notion that if a proposition is both P and not P, it's invalid, right? And so whenever you have a proposition like this, right? For example, saying that, you know, it's raining and it's not raining. No, that's you can't say that, right? It's invalid. It's impossible to say that. So Kant is going to apply this framework to morality, and this is how he's going to do it. He's going to say, okay, so let me make sure I explain it correctly. He's going to say, anytime you have an action that you're hesitating whether it's moral or not, this is what you need to do. So for example, you're tempted to, let's do the lying one. Okay, you're tempted to lie. And you're wondering, is it moral for me to lie or is it not moral for me to lie? Now remember, you're not gonna look at the consequences because this is all about happiness. You're not concerned about happiness, you're concerned about morality. So you're not gonna tell yourself, if I lie, then this is gonna happen. No. Everybody gets this first point, right? Put your hand in the screen if you see what I'm saying. You're not going to tell yourself, let me see if I should lie in this situation because let's see what the consequences of my lie will be. And then based on the consequences, I will decide if I lie or not. This is the wrong way to do this, right? Because when you're looking at the consequences, who is thinking about the consequences? Which part of you?
Instinct, but I disagree.
Okay, yes, Coco, good. We'll see if you still disagree at the end of the three sessions. But hopefully,
I will, trust me.
Okay, very good. So instinct, right, is telling you the consequence is this. You won't be happy. They won't be happy. Therefore, don't lie. So Kant is like, we're not going to proceed like that because this is kind of an instinctual reasoning. We want to have a reason, a rational way to do this. So he's going to say, all right. Here you are, you want to lie, and you want to know if lying is wrong or not. What you're going to do is universalize your maxim. Okay, let me write this down. Universalize your maxim. So your maxim is simply what you're about to do, right? Lying, cheating, stealing, right? That's your maxim. Maxim is simply your individual action that you're about to do, right? That's a maxim, or your. Okay, so you're gonna universalize it, meaning you're gonna say it in the universal, meaning everybody is lying, right? And then you're going to see whether this entails an inner contradiction. So in other words, you're gonna, I think if I do it in front of you, you'll see more clearly than my pitiful explanation. But in other words, you're gonna universalize it. So you're gonna ask yourself, not what would happen, but you're gonna simply say it in the universal. So you're gonna say, everybody lies. And then you're gonna ask yourself, now, is it still possible to lie when everybody is lying? And if it is the case that you can still lie when everybody is lying, then lying is fine. If it's the case that you can't lie when everybody is lying, then it's immoral. So you universalize, you make it universal, and then you see whether you have a P and not P, and whether it dissolves, whether the lying is still possible on this backdrop of the universalizing. And if it's not possible, that means it was immoral. It's kind of like the logical, right? Something cannot be both P and not P. This is what he's doing on the moral level. He's saying, if you have a contradiction, meaning you can't do both at the same time, then it's immoral. Okay, let me say that again, because I think that was a little better. But if you have a contradiction, right, once you've universalized your maxim, right, If you have a contradiction, once you've universalized your maxim between your maxim and the universalized version of it, I know it sounds complicated. When I give the example, you'll see right away. Then your maxim is immoral, because you can't have both your maxim and not your maxim, right? You have, if you have the universal and your maxim can't function within that, oh my God, I'm explaining, like, I've never explained something so badly. Let's do it together. Let me look at your faces really quick to see how far I've led you astray. Okay. All right. Does anyone understand a little bit of what I'm saying? Oh my God, yes, no, it's dreadful. Parillo is heartless. Okay.
I kind of get it.
Let's do it together. Let's just do it together. You're about to lie. What would it look like to universalize? To universalize your lie means everybody is lying. Okay? Now, if everybody is lying, here's the question. Can I still lie? Okay, let's see if you can answer this. Let's just do this together. If everybody's lying, can I still lie? Is it still possible to lie when everybody is lying? What do you think?
Wait, do we just pull our hands up? I don't know.
Yeah, you put your hand up. Okay,
Okay.
So a few hands. Okay, so let's see. Parillo, go ahead. Parillo?
Sorry, I'm really confused, to be honest. But I mean, if you universalize, like, everyone always lies. Wait, what was that? Was it, right?
Yep.
And but like, are you? I'm just confused, I guess, because you're comparing it to logic. So I'm trying to, like, I don't know. I'm not like.
Okay, leave the logic aside. Just ask yourself, if everybody's lying, can I still go around lying? Will people,
right?
In other words, will people believe your lie if everybody's lying?
Okay. See, that's different, though.
Yes.
That's different, because if everyone's lying, then obviously I'm everyone, no? That's why I was confused by, like, the phrasing.
So you want to look at the conditions of possibility of lying. And if everybody is lying, are those conditions still there that you can lie? In other words, what does lying necessitate in order to be possible?
Can I try?
Not happening. Hold on, Coco, hold on.
Okay.
Let's see, Montes and then Coco.
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, then what you're saying is, if we imagine a world where everyone is constantly lying about everything, would we be able to then lie as well?
Yes.
And in my opinion, the answer would be no, because then people wouldn't be able to trust one another ever, and we wouldn't be able to make any agreements in any daily activities, whether it's purchasing things or making time arrangements or being punctual or anything. So basically, if everyone lied, then the world wouldn't be able to function. Therefore, you wouldn't be able to lie.
Good job, Montes. That's it, right? In other words, if everybody lies, you don't have the condition of possibility of lying anymore, which is truth, right? To lie, there has to be a world where truth exists. Otherwise, you can't lie, right? The condition of possibility of lying is truth. Otherwise, right, lying is in a way, you can't lie if truth doesn't exist. Then you don't lie. A lie is based on the fact that you're not telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? So then you realize that everyone is lying, you can't lie, contradiction, and therefore immoral. That's how the system works. Parillo, are you clear on how the system works? We'll do a couple more examples.
Yeah, I'm more clear now, but definitely a couple more examples will still.
We're gonna do that. Okay, let's look at a couple more hands. So there was a King and Alegre. Want to add?
I was gonna say, aren't you gonna ask Coco? Well, like, wasn't the next in line Coco? No, wait, Jose.
Yes. What about Coco?
No. You said that after the last person you can go to Coco because he's gonna say something.
Coco disappeared.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm here. I just muted
your
myself.
hand disappeared. Your hand disappeared. So I
Oh, sorry. I don't know how to raise my hand through Zoom, so I just put my hand up like this.
Okay, Coco, you raise your hand, you go to participants, and you go to your name, and right next to it, you should have the option to raise your hand. Do you see that?
Where? Yes, I see it now. Sorry.
Okay, now you know how to do it. Okay,
Right,
Coco, go ahead. Tell us what you wanted to tell us, Coco.
I mean, no, you kind of summed it up better at that point. No, the logic is sound, although I'd argue, okay, you know, I'm not going to argue this point, although I could. It's just, I don't want to.
Yes, too early, Coco. It's
exactly,
too early.
exactly. I don't know. I mean, I already disagree with the concept already, because quite frankly, the argument is, okay, so this moral system cannot deal with immorality.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, how do I explain this? In a world where you typically expect telling the truth as a moral function already, and yet people break that moral function altogether. Unfortunately, again, and I disagree with the concept of consequences be damned. I can't even reasonably agree to that notion. Okay, let's please move on, please. I want to argue this, but at a different time.
Okay, we'll get there. Very good. King, you want to add the last word, King?
I don't have much to contribute, other than what's already said. I was just going to reiterate that. It's the problem is that it becomes a paradox where it just contradicts itself, so therefore it can't be true.
Yeah, that's it.
Or not true. Along the lines of if you think that everybody is special, then by definition nobody would be special because to be special. Well, so to properly define special, you have to say that it's rare.
You got it.
If everything's rare, then it's not rare.
You have the reasoning. Excellent. You have the reasoning. Now, let me do one more and then give you an example of what it's not, right? So the other one, let's do adultery. So adultery, we have to remember what makes adultery possible, right? What is the condition of possibility of adultery? Let me write this down, right? You always ask yourself this: what is the condition of possibility of adultery or lying or even killing, right? So for lying, we saw the condition of possibility is truth, right? If only in a world where truth exists is telling an untruth possible. Is everyone clear on that first point? Put your hand in the screen, right? So let's do adultery. Think about it, right? What's the condition of possibility of adultery? So we're imagining everyone committing adultery. Is adultery still possible in a world where everyone is committing adultery? Very good, King. You got it. We know you got it. Right? The agreement, fidelity, faithfulness, right? Faithfulness, if you don't have, right? Adultery is being unfaithful. So faithful is the basis, right? If you don't have any more faithfulness in the world, you don't have adultery anymore. Because adultery is based on this agreement of faithfulness, right? Everybody sees the second one, the way it works? Is it becoming a bit clearer? You can put your hand in the screen if you see. Let's do one last one. Let's see if you guys can get it. Killing. This one's a little harder. Actually, I had to think about that one. Why is killing wrong? So what's the condition of possibility, or not killing, murder, that's different. Right? Why is murder wrong? What is the condition of possibility for murder? Right? So again, you imagine, no, that's the definition of murder. I'm talking about the condition of possibility for murder, Allegre. So what would happen if everybody is murdering everyone? What have you lost? Which was the condition of possibility of murder? Robayo, go ahead.
Is it that life is sacred?
Yes, you got it. Okay, so this is working a little bit if you guys are getting it, right? In other words, murder is based on the fact that life is sacred, and so murder, right, is taking away the sacredness, is taking away the sacredness. So if everyone is murdering, you don't have that basis anymore for murder, right? So this is how he's doing this, right? And you see how it's a logical kind of, it's not like logic, but it's no, it's not a logical thing. It's logic like. He's following kind of that way of, okay, I can't have this and this together. Therefore, right? This is what he's doing. Just like in logic, when you can't have P and not P together and still have a valid argument, he's saying, I can't have this universal law and my maxim together. My maxim dissolves, right? And therefore, it's an immoral situation. So it's just a parallel he's making. Does that make sense? A little more? Parillo, for instance, who were struggling with that. Parillo, are you a little better?
Yeah.
You see the connection with logic? It's just he's making a parallel. It's not exactly the same thing, right? But he's just saying, oh, look how in logic, P and not P, if they're together, it dissolves into invalid. He's saying, oh, here, universal, maxim, they can't coexist. My maxim dissolves in the when the universal is taking place. Therefore, immoral, right? That's the idea. Okay, there's a few questions. So let's see. Let's start with Coco, Kang, and Allegre.
I mean, for the murder one, I thought the logic was more of a, if everyone's killing each other, there's no one going to be left alive to kill. So.
Thank you. You bring me to the bad one.
Sorry. The murder. Sorry.
Yes,
everyone's murdering each other.
Look at what you just did. If we murder each other, there won't be anyone left. What are you looking at? You're looking at consequences, right?
And again, because that's important, and I will stand by that.
Yeah, no, but just
fair point.
It's good. Because it's helping me see how to not apply the categorical imperative. When you do the categorical imperative, it's not like saying, if I throw this empty bottle on the street, let's imagine a world where everyone throws empty bottles on the street, and that world would be full of empty bottles. Who's doing the thinking right now? Your reason or your instinct?
I'd argue on. I don't agree.
Stop. Let me finish the argument before we criticize.
Sorry.
Are you seeing who is doing the thinking when you're talking about all the water bottles in the street and how horrible life will be? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about morality or happiness?
Happiness. There we go. Fine.
Exactly. So you are in a way thinking about the result, the consequences. You're on the level of instinct, right? So be careful, guys, when you apply the categorical imperative to not fall into the level of instinct, but to stay on the level of abstraction, the logical possibility, right? Adultery is impossible conceptually, logically, in a world where everyone is committing adultery. It's possible it's possible practically, right? If everyone's committing adultery, you can also still commit, although no, it wouldn't be adultery, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
See what I'm getting at? That's my point too.
Very good.
That's the point.
Right? So, but do you guys see the difference between applying the categorical imperative, looking at the results in the world and how unhappy you will be, and simply applying it strictly on the logical level? The condition of possibility of that action in abstraction. Are you seeing the difference?
I mean, I wasn't speaking for happiness. I was speaking literally the logical end result.
Yeah, this is not a logical end result because it's a concrete end result, what you're talking about.
Yes, the end result of everyone killing each other
is no one's left alive.
Is no one left alive to kill. So by extension.
Exactly, but he's asking us not to think on that level because this is looking at the results. And for him, remember, results be damned. We don't decide according to the results. We decide because it's the right thing to do. Everybody clear on that distinction? Put your hand in the screen. Okay. So Kant takes a while, by the way. Kant is really kind of, you have to go upside down in your mind. So it'll take a while to assimilate. But we have 2 more sessions on Kant, so it'll get clearer and clearer as we proceed. He develops more and more, right? So we'll go deeper and deeper. Any questions on anything I said? Okay, good. All right, so next time we will do, you have another reading assignment. Yes, good question, Cosmidis. If everyone is generous, actually, yes. Because generosity, what is the condition of possibility of generosity? The fact that you feel everyone should have the dignity to receive help, right? So if you're generous, you're actually exacerbating the dignity and you're not taking it away. Does that make sense? So actually you can have the dignity and you can have In other words, everyone being generous, it doesn't take away the condition of possibility of generosity. Like everyone murdering takes away the condition of possibility of murder. Does that make sense? That's the idea. Yes, these are good questions. Okay, good. All right, let's call it a day. Remember, next time, another reading assignment, another reading, another discussion. Be on time. You guys did good today, and we'll just continue our trek through Kant. All right. I'll see you guys.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Oliver.
I was gonna say, so
fast as I have to go in like 2 minutes.
all right, so I was gonna say pull up these two questions. Like, so this also applies to euthanizing, like for the sake of like killing yourself. But if we go under the condition like, oh, like the sacred, then you shouldn't kill yourself or you shouldn't euthanize. But the problem is, like, if people in great pain will often want to euthanize. But by his logic, that's only an instinct. But again, we don't care about empathy also, according to Kant. So their suffering doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all.
No, that's kind of my problem. That's why.
I have a laundry list of problems with Kant, but get in line. You got
it. We'll have to wait for Levinas before we have a morality based on compassion. Kant is not there. Kant is no. It's not about compassion. It's about the right thing to do, no matter what. And even if it leads to the suffering of others. We'll talk more about that. We'll get there. But you're on exactly right, Allegre. You got it. And Coco, I know, I feel you.
I feel like, I don't know, with Kant, to me, it feels like he misses the big question. And I think it's a very simple one I think we all should ask. What's the point of morality? I would argue the point of morality is the betterment of everyone, of humanity, of
no, that's not.
I would argue that. I would argue that.
He would argue morality, there's no point because it's not about happiness. It's not about getting anything in return. It's about fulfilling your highest being, right? That's really. Yep. There's no point. That's a consequence. You're thinking of consequences.
Of course I am. I'm not even a utilitarian, but I think of consequence to an extent. I'm not even utilitarian.
Good. Any other questions?
I was gonna bring up another one because since you brought it up, like we all trying to achieve like our own like self higher, like our self, like a higher purpose or something like that, right?
Sorry, go ahead.
So we're trying to achieve like a higher purpose, and this is through morality.
That's it. Not a purpose. It's a higher destiny, a higher calling, right?
For everybody, right?
No, it's not about people.
Wait, not for everybody?
Everybody has the calling, right, within themselves, but you're not doing it for others. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, I was going to say that's a bit kind of selfish, but I'll just think about that a little bit more.
Because it's like you're obeying this higher realm. Remember, we are between two realms, the noumenal, the phenomenal. You're obeying this higher calling, and so it's not about you, really. It's about the higher authority which lives within you. Kind of. Something like that. Mario, come to my office hours. Come 6 every day.
6 p.m.?
Yes.
Today too?
Yes, you can come today. It's fine.
Okay, so I might, if not.
Yeah. That's fine. Always, I'm just going to say every day 6 and just so that it's a little simpler. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys still want to talk, you can come back at 6. I have to teach this other class, but yeah, right now, but yeah, come back at 6 and we can talk some more. Yes, absolutely. Any other quick question? Good? Okay. All right. Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye, Professor.
Hey, there's no one here now.
Oh, shit.
Well, no, she's still here. She's just muted herself.
Okay.
She's still recording. Wait, she's still recording. She's still recording.
Oof. But yeah, I'm gonna be on Discord later.
All right. I'm gonna be on Discord also. Ooh.